What is the difference between doTERRA and Young Living? Well, today we're going to cover that in today's video, so stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Hey, this is Lance McGowan with Essential Oils Me, and today we're going to be talking about two essential oil companies that you may or may not have heard of, but they're the top two players in the essential oil industry. So we're going to cover that in the next section.
doTERRA versus Young Living. Which one is the best? Dun dun dun. Well, that's not what this video is for, so I'm just going to cover really, a little bit of each and let you make your own decision because I believe educated decisions are the best decisions. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit though. All right, so I'm going to go over some things to consider and then kind of just compare and contrast doTERRA and Young Living in this video. So the first thing that is the most important thing you want to look at with a company is the service. Do you know, like, and trust a professional with expertise when it comes to this? And so when we look at doTERRA, what do you got to do? You got to do your research. That means looking online. That means, if you have a family member, a coworker, if you have a friend that's already in a particular company, doing your research and getting all the information on whether or not you know, like, and trust this person and they are professional with expertise in something that adds value to you. That goes the same for Young Living, and so you want to do your research with them. Whether you go with somebody online, locally, I believe location doesn't matter because at the end of the day, if there was somebody that had expertise and they were a professional and I knew, like, and trust them, I don't care if they lived in China, we're going to make it happen, right? We're going to make the time difference work, and because they have lots of value to offer. And for me, I'm looking for that as somebody who is value driven. Okay, so now the next thing you want to look at is the quality. Is the particular oils approved for internal use by the FDA, and is it third party tested for purity? So when you look at doTERRA, yes, they are approved for internal use and they're third party tested through the CPTG, which stands for Certified Pure Therapeutic Grade. And so this allows you to have the assurance that you are getting the world's highest quality essential oil. And so that's going to be very important. When you look at Young Living, yes, they are approved by the FDA for internal use, and their third party testing is called C to Seal. So when you look at each one of these, you want to look at these because, yeah, it says yes, they are approved for internal use, but the best way to look is on the bottle. They'll have a supplement facts on it. And so that'll let you know. And so in general, the ones that there's like ones that are just focused on topical use, and those are the ones that obviously aren't going to be recommended for internal use. But what you want to do is look for the supplement facts and then go from there and really just understand how to use the oils and what health priority you're wanting to use them for, because that's going to be key. Now, a lot of aromatherapists really don't like it when I say that with regards to essential oils, because they're like, no, oils are not for internal use, what are you doing, and here's all the reasons why. And and there's lots of people who are against the internal use of essential oils, but then they eat things like processed foods, they eat things with a lot of chemicals or synthetics, or they eat GMOs, or they, drink soda or coffee and things that have other chemicals in it. I'm like, well, those were once derived from plants too. High fructose corn syrup came from corn, and then you got, coffee, which coffee beans, obviously, and I could keep going down the list of all these things that came from plants that maybe aren't the best through their processing of that particular plant, but they do it anyway. So I'm just asking people to be consistent with regards to what they're going to look at. So if you're going to look at the internal use of essential oils, which I feel like is a whole nother video, then you can do that. But anyways, the next topic we're going to talk about is price, because some people are like, oh, how much do they cost? Whoa, what's going on? Is there a rewards program? That's all you really need to know. And for doTERRA, the answer is yes. You can get up to 55% off if you do at least 50 points, which is roughly $1 per point, so roughly $50 per month. And then in month 13, you can get your 55% off. So you start off at 25% as a member, and then it goes up from there. When you look at Young Living, yes, they have a rewards program as well. You can get up to 49% off at the time of this video, and that is in month 25 if you do 50 points or more per month. And so I'm going over kind of the max you can get off the oils just so you can kind of get a feel for what that looks like. But a rewards program allows you to get a discount on your oils and allows you to get them cheaper than anything online or at a store because of this program. And think of it as like a hotel rewards program or like a frequent flyer program, you are rewarded based on what you use. And so if you are replacing things in your home, that's your kitchen, that's your bathroom, that's your, you know, cleaning cabinet, whatever it is, then this is going to be very easy to do. If you're just letting things collect dust in your closet or in the box that you came in and you're like, I don't know what to do with these oils, forget what Lance said, then you know you're not going to get the value you need out of this. And so a rewards program is best if you actually use the oils and find replacements for things in your home, and that will allow you to get the most value. And price then does not become a factor, it becomes a replacement cost, not an additional cost. I'm going to say that again: the price of the oils becomes a replacement cost, not a additional cost for what you have in your home. All right, personal loyalty. Now, sometimes people are like, "Hey, you know, I'm loyal to my mom or my, you know, brother-in-law or sister-in-law or whoever introduced me to the oils." And the only thing I encourage you to, you know, think about is the mutual connection, and do they have your best interest in mind? And that includes strangers that you meet, you know, on the street or at an event or even online, right? When it comes to either company, you want to make sure that there's a mutual connection, so it goes both ways, and that they have your best interest in mind. Are they just trying to sell you on the business opportunity, or do they want to just help you through products that will genuinely address what you're looking for? You know, do they really want to get to know you? And that is going to be the key thing. You know, Eric Worre said that a direct sale to somebody should only be done if you know them really well and you know they're looking for a business opportunity. Otherwise, people are just looking to improve their health as customers. And so for me, my focus is always education. And if somebody's interested in sharing, I can help them do that as well. But there's always things too, like personality and other things that people look for. So do you vibe with that person? You know, do you feel comfortable? That's the main thing. Do you feel comfortable around that person? Do they make you feel comfortable? That's going to be the key thing. And so for doTERRA, I put yes and no, because you'll come across people that, you know, you do get a good connection with and you can see that they have your best interest in mind, and you probably will find people that are the opposite of that. Same thing with Young Living. There's going to be people that you develop good connections with, and the ones you don't. And so the key is to base it off of what your values are, what your beliefs are, and what your character, you know, development wants to look like. If somebody is honest, responsible, humble, and you want to be more of those things, or they're in line with those aspects of your life, then that is what you're going to want to go with, especially if you value those things over other things, you know, like somebody that's more focused on making money, or somebody that's more focused on, you know, just pressuring you to do things or not making you feel comfortable. So like, you really have to understand what your values and beliefs are and align them with somebody that meets those. All right, the next thing is, when was the company founded? Okay, so when you look at both companies, the first thing to look at is and realize is that most companies and businesses, whether it's doTERRA or Young Living, you know, I'm talking about all businesses. That's you know, brick and mortars, that's mom and pops, that's big corporation, that's small, whatever it is. In general, most businesses fail within 5 years of starting, and they lack the ironed out tools, meaning they aren't in business long enough for them to kind of work out all the kinks and how they educate people to know how to use the product. And so when you look at doTERRA, doTERRA was founded in 2008, and so they've been around for definitely 5 plus years. And when you get along Young Living, they've been around since 1993, and so they've definitely been around for 5 plus years. And so this is not so much of an issue. What is going to come down to is the educational materials that either company is providing, are they, you know, within what your standards are, you know, for wanting to be trained and educated on things. And so to summarize everything, you know, I have chose doTERRA as the company I'm doing life with, and that is a decision that I made because that's one of the first classes I went to. Now, had I gone to a Young Living class, I don't know what would have happened, right? But I know I would have still looked at the same things that I'm asking on the left-hand side here, which is, I knew that the team that I was going to be a part of, that they were really focused on education and they were really focused on helping me with my own health. And I really respected that because I was really, you know, in need of those things. And I really liked the fact that, you know, our team was focused on more whole plant foods. And so we had definitely a nutrition aspect to things. And so I gravitated towards that. And I also really appreciated the approach. It wasn't, I felt comfortable. It wasn't pressured, and I just felt like I could do things at my own pace, and I really like that. And obviously that is going to depend not just on the company, but the people that you look around with, or get trained from, or hear online, or locally. But I encourage you to look at the bigger picture when it comes to doTERRA versus Young Living. It's going to be a lot of things, and really the best way to do that comes very back up to the very top part, which is do your research. Okay, don't just go with the first person that comes with you. You want to go with the company and the person that is going to give you the best value, and value is going to be based on service, quality, price, and a lot of other things too, like their character, and what they believe, and their system of how they do things, and personality. And so looking at the bigger picture is going to be the most important thing.
The main thing to keep in mind when it comes to doTERRA or Young Living, if you're still in that, hey, which company should I go with mode, then it's do your homework, do your research, figure out what is going to be the best fit from a person standpoint, but also company standpoint, and look at the whole picture. And you're going to want to just, not go with the first person that you see. You just do your research, really get to know that person, and maybe even interview them. I mean, companies do that. We do that when we're dating somebody. You don't just the first person that says, "Will you marry me?" and they do it on the first date, that sounds really weird. You're like, "What the heck?" Like you gotta get to know somebody. You gotta, they gotta meet the parents, and they gotta, take them on a few dates first before that. So there's a way to do things, and very similar. You should be doing that with whatever essential oil company you go with. Get to know them, get to know the company, the people involved, the culture, what they stand for from a value standpoint. And really, that's going to be the key to success. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and watch some of my other videos so you can learn more about these topics and many more.